Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for the reading.
There are not two minds, only one mind. Sometimes we get like that the subconscious mind and the conscious mind are two minds, but they're just two aspects of the one mind. Okay, so you have your conscious mind. That's basically the way you look at the world and, and make decisions and stuff like that. Your frontal lobe, I guess, is what they're talking about. Then you have your subconscious, which is the not dormant, the part that really lives your life. that you get to control if you choose to, but a lot of people are walking around unconsciously, right? And then we are inlets and outlets of that one mind. So that's a Emerson quote. We're inlets, but Emerson says we're inlets, but we choose to be outlets.
Emerson.
What does that mean to you? We're inlets for God, like we're actually, it's the one mind God, whatever you want to call it. We're an inlet. We can't help that, but we can choose to be an outlet.
Because not everyone chooses to always be an outlet, for...
Right? We can choose. The choosing part is the part where we allow it to flow through us and out, right? So, but we can't stop the inlet part. We're inlets.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. But we have the choice to put it out, right? So, the creative power within us is our subjective subconscious, and we are surrounded and filled with the creative power of the universal subjective. That's Ernest Holmes' quote. But so basically, it's the same thing. We're just saying the same thing. We have a subjective subconscious that's ours uniquely, but we also have the whole universe subjective. So we're universal on the subjective side of life. We are universal, but we get to choose. It's all about choice. The law of mind becomes our mind as we use it, and we just said that. So it's all about how we use it.
And this, it's very interesting, because I was thinking as this was said, the creative power within us is our subjective subconscious, and we are surrounded and filled with the creative power of the universal subjective. That's a pretty powerful statement, besides just that it sounds good, or that, wouldn't that be nice? I mean, we're talking about not wouldn't it be nice, it is nice. And yet, when I was saying before how we're programmed and trained in this evolutionary life that we're living, we have to, how funny, to retrain what we are. We're actually retraining ourselves to remember that we are this universal mind that can move anything and be anywhere and do anything. So I just think it's funny because it's said a lot, but if we really, when we do, and we do that, when we really live with that, how could we even for a moment go, how can that ever, I mean, I don't even know how even the moments I had today could even fully have existed if I really, truly had believed that 100%. And that's all we're about. It's just continually reminding ourselves.
That's great. I was going to say something else about it. Remember the chart that we gave you with the circle? So
I saw it.
Remember we said, just, find the words that go in each part and all of that. Well, subjective subconscious would go where? In the middle, right?
Middle.
Okay, and universal subjective on the universal would go in the middle. So, yeah. Patrick, why don't you take this quote by Thomas Troward?
Thomas
It was in
Troward
the
wrote,
lesson.
"Begin mentally to climb into a spiritual atmosphere, dropping all burdens, anxieties, fears, and doubts behind you. You will soon discover that as your thought reaches a place of peace, confusion disappears. From this inner place of peace, you speak your word, which is to become the law unto that whereunto it is spoken." I was using in that moment Adara's instrument in my voice because it has that kind of power that doesn't need to be pushed. It's that wonderful quality that just says, begin to mentally climb into a spiritual atmosphere, dropping all burdens, anxieties, fears, and doubts behind you. But first we have to, for me, to remember and to believe and to live the idea and the absolute fact that I can drop all my burdens, anxieties, fears, doubts behind me, even before all the things that are causing me that disappear. I get to choose that, and I get to drop the burdens right here and say, I'm done. Enough is enough.
In case you don't remember who Thomas Troward was, 25% of the Science of Mind teaching comes from Thomas Troward. We talked about him a little bit in the first class. And he was a judge. He was British, but he was brought up in India. So his belief systems and all the things he studied, he was very learned in the Hindu philosophy and all their scripts, and then also Christian too. But and 25%. But he was all about the law. That was really basically Ernest Holmes got the idea about the law from him, and he was very logical, and he writes sentences that are about a page long, as we know. Yeah.
With no commas.
But anyway, but I love that idea of begin to mentally climb into a spiritual atmosphere, it's
quantum,
so visual, right? Yeah. Any thoughts?
Quantum.
I thought it was a beautiful quote. Points to remember again. Okay. The power which flows from your word is in mathematical proportion to your recognition of the power flowing through your word. It's all about faith in our word. So, I think I said it at the beginning. Once you speak your word, you have to trust that your word has power in it. You have to trust your word. You have to trust that when you let that word go, when you do a treatment or when you're affirming something to yourself, that you're actually letting it go into an energy field that's going to bring it back to you in exact proportion to whatever you let it out with, which is your belief and your feeling, right? Does that make sense? Okay. The law is like the engine and you are the engineer. So the law is you're directing it. It can't do anything without you directing it. It's just it's waiting for you to direct it. They call it a blind force, creative medium. But it can't, if you don't have somebody to drive the car, it's just going to sit there, right?
Or if you start it and put it in drive.
Or it's going to create, according to the law of averages, which...
don't steer it.
Right, if you don't steer it. We are one... What?
If you don't steer it, you're in for a crash.
You're in
You
for
are.
a crash.
Right?
Yep.
And then you go, what happened?
I put it in drive.
We are
but
one-
You didn't steer it.
We are one with the spirit of life, one with its law, and one with its manifestation. So we talked about the three aspects of God, like God's law, effect, or body. So we split it up to try to understand it, but it's all one thing. That circle that we gave you, it's all one thing. It's just our way of explaining it. That there's spirit, that there's law, and then there's a manifestation. The power comes from the recognition of the unity of all life. Yeah. Once we oneness is, once we realize that we're one with it and we're one with each other, and it's working through us, and there's no separation, like Eckhart. What's his name? Meister Eckhart. No, Meister Eckhart said, between me and God, there is no in between. That's where the power is. Okay, Patrick, you can take these pictures because they're really great. They're just different ways of explaining it.
Yeah, but we did this last week.
I know,
believe.
but there's different ones. It's really great. There's different ones to explain those three
And now if
aspects.
I were taking the test again, I would say, idea, fabric, pillow. That would be my new creative part. No, but I love the seed because it's so, especially on this island. There's the seed. You see it. It's even got a glass going into the soil. And what pops up? There it is. And what's interesting about this is just the beginning of it. And if you let it go, it's going to grow into a huge, whatever it is that you want. Here's the other way of looking at it. Cause, law, effect. Does that make sense? Cause is first cause, which I always say that's where all healing takes place. That's where all manifestation takes place. Before it's already done because we're only dividing it up to show that. But the manifestation, if you want to heal, for me, I have to live in first cause, because if I live anywhere else, then I'm going to be living in the world of. If I start to try to heal myself from the effects of life and not start with first cause and drop that down in there, it's just, whew, yeah. We've all done it. I say whew, because we've all done it. I like this one, vapor, fluid, ice. What I love about the ice metaphor is that you can rearrange it any way you want depending upon the mold. Creating the mold and deciding upon the mold of what you want that vapor to harden into is about us. And what the beauty of it is when you think, why the hell did I mold that? Well, what's so great about it is you can melt it and put it right back to its natural state of vapor and water, and just once again do it to its state of fluid and start it all again. One thing in three forms or states of itself: water, mind in action, mind in form. Just different ways of saying the same thing. Invisible intelligence. This is highly underrated because of this word, invisible. We think because it's invisible. What is science? If you cannot see it, if you can't prove it, if you can't, then it doesn't exist. Even when we know it does. They say that with love. I remember Brene Brown did a huge conference, and they said, she said, I wouldn't dare bring up love with my colleagues, because they would say, you can't prove love. But then she asked the entire room of, academia sitting there, and with all of their intelligence, she said, how many of you would be willing to walk out this door, since it doesn't exist anyway? There's no way to prove it in our scientific community. How many of you would be willing to walk out this door and never love again? And not one person could raise their hand, because they would never want to do without love. Can you imagine? How many of you, love doesn't exist, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of our, scientific research, it's a waste. And not one person could say, I would walk out of here and not have love. So immediately that proved that love existed. I rest my case, Your Honor. Judge Troward, I am here. The universal spirit, soul, body.
Discuss soul, right?
Yeah.
That soul's not like the
Soul
way we
is
think
like
of soul.
sometimes, and when my upbringing, soul was kind of like the spirit of every, it's like the desire of my soul. But in science of mind and spirit, soul is the law, the very essence of us that activates, that we direct, that it moves according to our belief. The individual conscious mind, the subjective mind, and form and experience. And here it is, we have one mind, but we individually what? Interpret it, use it, but it's all from the one source. It's all from first cause. But what makes it an individual, right, is it's the way Rita uses her power, her incredible one mind that we all use. It's the way Adara, Janet, Jamie, all of you use it. Thought, medium, thing. Thought thickens into things. I like that. I haven't heard a lot of it. Thought thickens into things. Isn't that the truth? You got a thought that's not doing much, so you keep focusing on it, and it becomes dominant. You can't even get it out of your mind. It starts thickening into things.
We're going to send you these, so you don't need to be copying them unless you want to. But okay, so now we're going to go into prayer. Do you have any questions about that? Remember last week we said for different words for the circle, for the different parts of the circle. That's all this is giving you different words to use so that when you hear them, you'll know what we're talking about. The one's in the middle, one's the top. One's the spirit, the other is the creative medium, the other is the effect. And it's just the different ways of expressing it. So, okay. So we're about ready to go into spiritual mind treatment. And they had some things here I thought that were pretty cool, and there's probably more now, but I'm actually reading a book called, it's the new Greg Braden book. I can't think of the name of it. It's about prayer, though, and he goes through it's about how words change the brain, basically. And he goes through all the prayers from back, ancient times, back to Greece and Egypt and Native American and all this, and how people used prayer to change their lives. But anyway, humankind has practiced prayer since 5,000 years before Christ. I bet it was even before that. We don't even know. And throughout 2,000 years since, no less than 7 millennia. Only in the last 100 years or so have we sought to determine a scientific basis for prayer power. There have been over 300 valid scientific studies and surveys that do indeed point to some kind of impact deriving from prayer. And I'm sure there's more now, because this was written, this lesson plan is several years old. And people are paying more attention to it now, that when people pray, something actually happens. When people meditate together, something happens. Some of these studies have become classics. Dr. Randolph Bird in the late 1980s, cardiologist, showed the healing effects of prayer upon patients admitted to the coronary care unit at San Francisco General Hospital. The group prayed upon had less congestive heart failure, required less diuretic and antibiotic therapy, and had fewer episodes of pneumonia and fewer cardiac arrests. Bottom line, fewer died. This was the doctor saying this. I mean, I'm sure there's thousands and thousands and thousands and books written about prayer and how it affects healing. The research also suggests that distance is not a factor. Well, we know this now, since it didn't matter how far away the one praying was from the patient, thus demonstrating that our minds and our prayers work in a non-local dimension. Prayers don't really go anywhere. They transcend all spatial confinement and location, being instantaneously present everywhere. So they say this now, like consciousness is non-local. That's a term they use in quantum science. Meaning, like, that's why we say with spiritual mind treatment, when we do spiritual mind treatment, we do not need to be with the person. Because why? There's only one mind, and it's non-local, and it's everywhere present, and we're all in it. So why would we have to be in the room with the person? I mean, sometimes people want to see us, and it's really nice, but sometimes we can't be in the room. But, so we don't need to be in the room because it has nothing to do with the prayer. The prayer is going into the one mind, and it's everywhere present. Does that make sense? And this is scientifically proven now. I don't, if you read anybody, Joe Dispenza, Amit Swami, I'm reading a great book by him right now about consciousness being non-local. Thank God.
Well, it makes sense, right?
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, thank God. What, you want to say something?
Mm.
What
No,
were you going to say?
I didn't want to say that.
Okay.
I think you went, but yeah.
All right. Dr. Mitchell Krukoff, whatever that is, replicated these general results in heart patients in more recent study that used a wide variety of individuals involved in praying, including Tibetan Buddhist monks, Jews in Jerusalem, Carmelite nuns, and our own New Thought prayer practitioners. So it's great to know that these doctors are working on proving these things, right?
And also it goes to show you with everybody that I mentioned that nobody's got the corner of the
right.
market of prayer, because prayer is just words. But it's what's behind those words, the belief behind them, that move things, and you get out of the way of the house. But they didn't say, the Catholics really got this one. No, it's anytime, any of these people, anytime that we pray.
Yeah, we think of prayer like it's like this religious attitude, and we're on our knees, but it's prayer is scientific. And I think we're getting that now, and I think that's really amazing, because we're science is like the new mysticism, they say, and I think that's really true. We're getting away from the dogma of religion, and we're realizing that we're actually using a science, a spiritual science. It's beautiful. Dr. Herbert Benson, author of the classic meditation and stress book, The Relaxation Response. Additional research by Dr. Benson suggests that people who pray live longer, as much as 8 years longer. Working with, we should be doing pretty good then. Working with MRI scans, he had shown that when we pray, we actually switch off stress pathways, which makes sense, right, in the brain, and activate pathways that promote healing and calm. Why
because
would
we're
we?
turning it over.
Why
We're not-
wouldn't
we're
we
not-
pray?
Yeah, we're turning it over so it would calm our minds completely. It would calm get rid of our stress, because in the middle of prayer or meditation, you're releasing. And you're allowing something else to take hold, which is us the whole time, but that power to take hold.
Surrender.
And it's a surrender and allowing.
Yeah, I was thinking about, this is going to sound really crazy, but last time I had was it last time? I don't know. I think it was last time I had my colonoscopy. I had this card written out to the doctor, and I just, before he put me under, I wrote this card to him. I said, could you please open it? And it said, dear doctor, thank you so much for my healing. You are the hands of God, and I know that's what's happening right now. And all the nurses, and I did this whole thing, and they looked at me like it was crazy, but it was so. But it made
from
me
100.
It made me so calm to lay there and to say that to them, and to have this kind of odd reaction. But still, they probably had nobody ever did that to them before. But it was really kind of cool. Yeah. Well, it's true, because the hands of God are everywhere, right? If we believe that God is everything, then it's in a doctor taking care of us. Dr. Dr. Lobo at Columbia University showed that the normally low success rate, with in vitro fertilization jumped to 50% for the group of women receiving prayer from total strangers in Canada and the US and Australia. I love these. This is great. Less than a decade ago, only 3 of America's 125 medical schools offered courses on prayer and physical healing through prayer. Now that number has increased to nearly 2/3 of the schools. Really? That's interesting. Ancient wisdom and now modern science points us to a definite impact through the power of prayer. I think it's great. So, any questions about prayer? We are going to go into it tonight.
I am going to actually, I just want to, Jana, can you briefly tell us that story you said you wanted to share with the class about how you moved the energy to get in the hospital? It's yeah, it's really powerful.
So she was at Wilcox over here when she first went in, and I couldn't go up. I'm just her friend, and nobody could go up because of COVID, and so she had said, "Oh, listen," she had actually called me and said, "Can you come and take me home?" And I was like, "Well, Janice, I don't think you're supposed to come home yet, but I'll come over there." So anyway, I went, and I just brought a book, and I brought the plant. So I was there, so I called her and I said, "Listen, I'm just here. They're not letting me up, but I'm sending a book up." And then a little while later, I sent a plant up, and so I was just there. And so then I thought, well, I'll go over to Costco and get some gas. So I went over, and the phone rings, and it's her, and she goes, "Janet, you can come up." And so I said, "Okay, I'm there, I'm coming. So I went back, and they let me up. I was there for 3.5 hours, and it's a good thing. Wow. She needed it. I mean, they should not be holding visitors back.
It's one of the worst things that's happening right now. We need to pray that dissipates into the nothingness from which it came. It is so wrong.
So the question
So
I
wrong.
have, briefly for all of us.
Thank you, Jen.
7 people, 10 people are all in the same position. Actually, there's thousands and thousands right now, globally, million, I'm sure. But here's the deal. Nobody gets to come up here. Nobody. COVID, we know it. We've been told it every single time we go there. She's in the midst of this, only being there, only knowing the truth for her friend, long distance, down. Why does this happen? Why did Janet go up there? How was she able to go up there? How? I mean, the nurse said nobody's allowed up here. I don't know how you're getting up here. So just to throw it out for a second, how does this happen when these 7 other people can't get up to see their friend?
This is one of my affirmations, and it breaks through any kind of law or pattern, most of them. And it's basically God makes a way where there is no way. And it has gotten me through those breaking points where everybody tells me, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I don't know if I showed you the sign of what I did for my birthday, but that was the very thing I did, is I went on the children's playground and took a picture playing inside the playground. And then as I walked out with the barriers, there was a sign, no one's allowed inside because of COVID. So it wasn't that it was willfully just knowing ahead of time, which I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to go in there, but it was a part of when that force is so strong in love, it breaks the barriers of all apparent reality.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you quick. I'll make it a quick story.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll make it a quick story because I have a really good one too. Okay, so I had torn the retina in my eye, or I didn't know what was wrong. And so Patrick's going, we're going to the emergency room. And I was like freaked. I was scared. We treated. And I walked into the emergency room. And first of all, I got taken right away. And then the guy looked at me and he said, I'm not going to touch you. I don't know what's wrong with you, but I'm sending you to ophthalmology. There was nobody in the hospital. They sent me to ophthalmology. This was Kaiser in Los Angeles. It's a Saturday. We're walking through these hallways, and there's nobody there. And then all of a sudden, this nurse appears, and she goes, "What's the matter?" I said, "Well, I was sent up here to ophthalmology." She goes, "Is that why the head of ophthalmology wants to see you?" And she goes, "He never sees anyone." And I ended up with the head of ophthalmology looking at my eye, then taking my cell phone number, giving it to this guy, this other doctor, who called me on my cell phone number to tell me to come in and he would take care of me. Walked in the next day to another.
Nurses.
Nobody was there. I don't know what Kaiser Permanente is ever empty, but there was nobody there. But there was this older couple, and they were standing in the middle of the room. I think they were dead. I really do, because they came up to me and they were like, "Oh, are you coming here to see Dr. I can't remember his name. It's Kaba or something." Yeah, and they go, "Oh, don't worry, he'll take really good care of you." And then they sat down. I know. Then this doctor takes me into his office, and he does this, whatever it was, surgery on my eye. Nobody was there. There was no nurse. Patrick was there, so I know it's true. And I was in there for like 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours.
He had her in the chair,
He had her in
the
the chair.
bubble.
Put the bubble in my
your
eye, and he's like, "I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's do this." Blah blah blah. And I mean, this all happened within like a 24-hour period of just what? How did that happen? How did I end up with the head of ophthalmology, and then this is the best part of it. I never got a bill.
Well, that wasn't the best part. It was the best part after
I know,
the healing.
but then I went back to the doctor because you have to go back, and he was like, and he knew that we were like spiritual people and stuff, so he was like working with us, but he was like, I don't know if this is going to work. You might have to blah blah blah. But as it kept going on, I kept getting better and better and better every time I went back.
He's like, "Don't get your hopes up."
Yeah,
really
he kept telling
high.
me not to get my hopes up.
He goes, "But I think this is working."
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is the same point you made and the same point you made. There is a force when you believe and when you just open up and surrender, because I surrendered. I was like totally like, okay, I got to get this taken care of, but I don't know how to. And the best was when that guy, that paramedic or whatever he was, the emergency tech guy, just jumped out of the way and he's like, "No, I'm sending you to ophthalmology."
Because he's just an intern guy. But I think that the point of it is, it's like I said on Sunday when what's her name, Immaculée, when she was going through the Rwanda genocide and was able to walk out and with people with guns, she was invisible. They could not see her. And as she's sitting there going, "They're going to nab, there's no way," she was able to escape. Point of it is vibrating at the frequency and grace. Finally giving up, because Rita was trying to control everything. That's why it took us a little bit longer to get to an emergency. And but she was holding on. "I can do this. Wait a minute. I'll treat. And I'm thinking, we'll move our feet. And as those treatments did unfold, just like with... Now, Janet wasn't necessarily, I think, sitting there going, "This is what I know. There's only one God that's coming." No, she
you don't have to be.
Right. Because prayer isn't the form of it. Prayer is, "I love my friend." and I'll give a plant. I'll give what?
What happened was she had the night before said, "Can you come and get me? I want to go home." And I said, "Well, okay. Let me talk to the nurse and make sure, and the doctor, and make sure it's okay. I'm here for you. Whatever you need, I'm here for you," I said. So then, of course, I called the nurse, and the nurse said, "No, she can't go out." And so I called her back, and I said, "Well, you please tell her. What am I going to do?" You know. So I called her, and I said, "Listen, you're not, the doctor has to release you, and they're not, and as far as I know," he said, "no, but I am here for you. I will be there tomorrow. Either way, I am there for you." And that's what it is. And that's what I did.
That's the prayer.
That's the prayer. That's all it
That's
has
the
to
prayer.
be. It doesn't have to be a 5-step treatment.
And the only
It's
thing
just
you
I-
needed to believe was that you were going to be there, present. Okay. Ready? Great.
Anyway,
Great.
The
And
next
that-
principle, which we won't go through because we won't have time, but is this one for next time. So I'll take one.
Pass it down.
This is your one for next time.
There you go.
It is the infinite nature of God, all conceivable good, is eternally available.
Yep.
It is available, ready to flow into human experience through some cosmic process. I love the way it says through some cosmic process, because there is a lot of it we don't really understand. The flow of God is activated and or increased by human belief,
Yep.
faith, and acceptance. The expression of this essential belief, faith, and acceptance is prayer. So like it's faith, I believe, a faith, and an acceptance. It doesn't even have to be a word. It's just belief, acceptance, and faith, which is the prayer. And then on the human level, the human reenactment of the cosmic creative process is naturally happening with or without our awareness. In this process, prayer or spiritual mind treatment is one effective way to increase our belief in the acceptance of the universal good, the cosmic well-being inherent within all of us. So spiritual mind treatment is it's a form of prayer. It's just like a technique that you use that's concrete, that you can use, that you can direct. So that's what it's meant to do, is to direct your thought, to retrain your thought. And that's why we treat until we demonstrate. We treat because we're actually changing our brain.
And why the structure is there, I've always said, even if I'm teaching little kids or whatever, the reason there's 5 steps too is when your thoughts have gone wild, as I've been saying the last week, is a wild like a frat party, just completely wild, and it's like I can't really tame them, I can't get them back. No, what it is so that you have steps that I can sit there and say, "Oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm so confused right now. What am I going to do? My friend's up there, or something happened to Rita. I don't really care anymore." It's like, it's like in Moonstruck. Not snap out of it, because then you can go, okay, what I know is this. Step 1, the only thing that's happening right now is God. No, something's going to happen. What if Rita is, when she was going through that's how some of my behavior was. Oh my God, what happens if something happens to Rita? But this is what I know, is that God is happening right here, right now. That's why the structure was so important for me, to go, not only is this power everything, it's running through me, it's running through Rita. Yeah, but what happens is trying to go wild again, trying to party, trying to go out there, and then you go, no. Okay, I just know that love's happening right now, right here. The only thing that's happening is God, and I am God. And I know that with that, Rita is safe. Yeah, but what happens if... No, because I know that I am God. I am one with God. That's why the structure can bring you back so that you can be focused and centered enough to direct the energy for healing. And that's why they say, because in reality, some of the prayers that we use, I've used this prayer and it's worked many times. Help!
Well, which brings me to affirm a prayer is not a supplication or petition.
Mr. Wizard!
Okay, so affirmative prayer, which is what we call spiritual mind treatment, another word for it, and don't get hung up on the word prayer, is not supplication or petition, but recognition and acceptance that God is all there is, and that there is no spot where God is not, and that we are all spiritual beings here and now, and that all the abundance of the universe is already ours if we accept and embody it. Okay, so we're never supplicating or asking in prayer. We're just, it is. Scientific prayer
I remember we talked about this, wasn't it?
is
I
based
remember
on
you
our
and-
knowledge that the universe is a wholeness in which God as presence or love works continuously as principle or law to manifest as form or effect, that this creative process takes place in a provable, reproducible manner, sounds like a Troward quote, and that we can consciously allow it to bring about changes in our lives. The 5 stages of treatment provide a structure and technique which empower this process. I love that.
And here's just one kind of, you look at one word, reproducible.
Yeah.
I love that. That means that that phrase that we use, that wasn't that a lucky break? No, actually that wasn't. It's called, we can reproduce the very same thing over and over and over again. I think sometimes we feel like that, especially with when money comes in or a big landfall, a windfall, whatever they call it. You're like, wow. And then you're thinking that this is the one and only, you know? I mean, you know, how am I going to reproduce that? We're unlimited is why we're here, and we can reproduce it every single moment of our lives.
And as Michelle LeMay said, this shit really works, and it really does.
And that's my
really
favorite.
does.
I love that little Fantasia when Mickey's trying to work his magic, but sometimes it's like he doesn't really know how to do it, but he's like, yeah.
Okay, so the 5 steps of treatment, and you have your sheet. First step is recognition. All you're saying is that you recognize that God is all there is, that there's a power, that there's a source that's everywhere present. It's in and through everything, and it's the only thing there is. It's all God. Everything is God. You're recognizing it. However you want to say that. You just find your words.
Source, life.
They give
What?
you this here. I recognize the one power and infinite life at the heart of all creation. The universal spirit is all life, love, wisdom, power, abundance, wholeness, one, perfect God life, whatever works for you. Second step, unification. I am the beloved expression of this perfect life. In God life, I live, move, and have my being. This is who I really am. I embrace the life, love, wisdom, power, peace, abundance, and wholeness of the perfect life within me. In this, I feel deep assurance, and I rejoice that my source, are eternally one. So you're just letting yourself know. We also call it identification. You're letting yourself know that this is who you are. And it makes sense, because if it's everywhere and in everything, it would have to be in you too. It would have to be you, right?
And in reality, you don't really have to unify it, because no matter what you do, you are it. There's nothing you can do. You can, like desecrate some of it to some degree, but you're never going to get rid of who you are, and that is the energy.
Yeah, so you wouldn't say, I unify with this process. You might say, I am unified with it. It is who I am. But you wouldn't say like all of a sudden now you're unifying with it.
Because
You're not.
unification is just a reminder, just to say, there's only one thing happening. Oh, and I am that thing. Oh, okay. All right. That's why we use step 2. You get steps 1 and 2, and everything else is.
Well, I think what you said, Patrick, is true too about when you're in a jam somewhere and you use spiritual mind treatment, it does give you an anchor. Like it gives you an anchor that you can go to. Like when I have an issue, like even if I'm balancing the checkbook and it's not working for some reason, I'll go, no, you know what? I need to stop and I need to treat, because I need to center myself and I need to remember that even whatever I'm doing, the Spirit is working through me and doing the work. So it's an anchoring thing, right? And it's good to use it when you're happy too, because you want to, give lots of gratitude, which is the next step. Oh, realization. Okay, so realization is like, all it is saying it's your affirmation. It's saying whatever it is you're declaring. Like if it's health, you're declaring health, because I know that God is perfect health, and therefore I am perfect health. I know that my body operates perfectly. I know that every cell in my body sings with health. I know that right here and right now, this beautiful, amazing spirit of health is moving through me, just moving through all my organs, moving through every part of me. I am healthy, vibrant, energetic. I have everything I can require right now to manifest perfect health. It's right here where I am. And so it is. Yeah, I love that.
And I love this, because I've always used, that's been my affirmation too, that God makes a way where there is no way, because that is so powerful. I mean, this power makes a way because it is everything. It is all power. How could it not be?
Then Thanksgiving, and you're giving gratitude. Why do you think you're giving gratitude?
What's the
because it's already done.
Already done.
So what do you do when you know something's already done? You have to thank for it,
Right.
right?
When somebody
So-
hands you a gift,
because
you
you're
go,
really
"Thank
not
you."
making it happen. You're
Right.
you're realizing that it's already happened.
Right.
You're stepping into something that's already there. You're not creating abundance. Abundance is the truth of our reality. It's who we are. So you have to, like it said in the beginning, it's about acceptance, faith.
And as Ernest
And-
Holmes says, we become
and
that
grateful.
what we desire. So we have to become. We have to think from a place of health, and sometimes it's really difficult if you're not in that place physically. But that, nevertheless, we still have to do it. We still have to say, I come from a place of poverty. I mean, I just wrote a little segment today when in writing this book, and I remember thinking, everything would have told me on the outside of this childhood that I was poor financially. It would have said, you're poor. And I felt so rich that I had no idea what lower class and upper class was. Until, like my brother said, my friends are like this and pick me up down the street, don't come to the house, And so he was thinking like there was something wrong. I was thinking, we have squeezable cheddar on a Ritz. How much richer can you possibly be than having this? So it's all your perceptions, because that's why we say, why does this one person exude wealth and they don't have anything? They don't have anything.
Right, and it's not about being good or bad either,
No.
because we see plenty of people that might not be.
You think?
I mean, and they're still, because they believe it. They believe they can have it all. So
Thanksgiving,
right?
Thanksgiving.
It's not about good or
gratitude.
bad. Okay, and then the last step, of course, is letting go or release. That's when you release your word. You don't release words. You don't release things. You release this word that you have spoken. And you release it as law. We use as law because your word is law.
And
And
release
I don't
is-
like into law too, because it makes it sound like it's something separate from you.
And then
it's not.
release too. What's so powerful about it is that you get out of the way and allow it to be. Which, and I use this every single time. If we're treating for, wealth and for that aspect of yourself that can pay all your bills with ease and grace, and you actually with joy, and you can't pay them, and we finish, and I release my word knowing that it will not return to me void. And then we talk about it's only 3 more days till the 1st to pay your rent, that we have to go back into treatment because we have now negated it. We have negated it. The moment that we affirm that God makes a way where there is no way, and then you start figuring out why that way hasn't shown up, then we have to go back to the beginning again.
Well,
and just,
yeah, it's like in what Joe Dispenza says, when you're looking for your healing after you've done all your work, and then you're looking for it, you've separated yourself from it, basically. So you do have to go back and start all over again.
Right. And just
'Cause
go, I
as soon as you're
forgot."
looking for it, then you've separated yourself for it. That's why the whole thing about becoming it is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Assignments.
it tells you what to read.
Why do people do that when they...
Again, I'll send it to
Hello.
you. Okay, read How You Change Your Life. Just read 79 to 98 and 126 to 127.
Wow, that must be a powerful page.
Oh, yeah.
120.
To 70 to 98 and 126 to 127.
I can't.
And
You
then-
got to look at that. There's something going on that one.
And then you continue to use your prayer book, and then use your treatment this week, repeating it regularly. We didn't write them tonight, but you're supposed to take that and create a treatment from it, create your affirmations.
Yeah, it'll be
and
fun.
then just work with it all week and repeat it and with feeling and elaborate on it. And you don't even have to read it. Just
have fun
use
with
it like something that you want this week to change in your life. This will help you experience the flow of treatment when you use your own words in the future. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then keep a list of questions about treatment affirmative prayer. And remember, the way to learn to treat is to start where you are and treat. Yeah, it's not like you should never feel like you're not good enough to treat. Everybody can treat.
Yeah, because treatment is different for everyone. Like I said, there's a structure we use, and then because trust me, if you're in the middle of a treatment and you forget the gratitude step, trust me, the universe went, I was on the way of giving them the biggie, but they left out 4. So therefore, I'm not giving them a damn thing till they learn all 5 steps. Well, I think you need to learn the structure, and then you move forward.
And you're always in the present tense.
Oh yeah, big time.
You're never in the future. You never say, I will have lots of money. I will.
I know that
I
Rob is going to
will-
have all the money that
No.
Ron's going to have all the money that Rob too. What's that? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 3 different treatments. What, at the same time and within the same treatment?
No.
3
No, you
different.
can do
no.
as many as you want.
But
yeah.
what would?
You
Yes,
can do it, yeah.
you can do it. But what?
Do you know how many times I treat a
But
day?
we don't
I
see-
treat when I get out of bed in the morning, before I get out of bed. Then I do a special one to start the day, that everything's smoothly running and I have all the energy that I require.
And our cat is
that
going,
it's-
shut up!
And it's smooth and easy and graceful and I'm attracting the right people and I just I do. And then during the day, something might occur, or maybe I'm working on something else. Maybe I'm working on being more abundant, or maybe I'm working on being more kind, or whatever I'm working on. And then I'll treat, or something will come up and I'll have to treat. Like, something will happen and I'll find myself going into some kind of, yucky place. I treat.
Okay. Yeah.
The last thing is, I guess for me, the main treatment for me, no matter what, doesn't have to be a whole bunch of words. It just has to be to get into that moment of loving God. And when I'm in that moment where my mind isn't focused on the problem, isn't focused on what I want, and isn't even words, it's almost a mindless, if that makes sense, a mindless flow of love that I try to sustain as long as I can for treatment.
Right. And 2 things on that. One is exactly that. Our job, should we decide, our mission, should we decide to take it, is to end the separation, to end the duality. And the way you do that is by steps 1 and 2 of completely embodying yourself in that energy, that just exactly what you're saying. I am love, I am love, I am love, I am love. To jump over to Janet's thing about what I try not to do, and this is to always have a purpose for each one that I'm doing, but what one wouldn't be a realization for me that would confuse me, because I love the idea of just becoming the thing I desire, is that if you were in the middle and you go, and what I know right here is that money flows to me easily and effortlessly, because I'm thinking of, and so that's why we do affirmative and not the other, so we don't we're trying not to bring in the other thing, but right in the middle of that, and I know that it flows easily, and I am the bank of the universe. And I know that my health is perfect. Every organ in my body is. And my mom, she is doing absolutely right on alignment with God. And Rita's new test that she's taking is, and I start adding an entire list by the time. Then I start going, what the? Stick with just one so we can have a beautiful focus.
And also, what you're talking about, Amber, if you walk through life like that, that's our goal, to
Yes.
walk through life like that, right?
a walking
but then if we
demonstration.
fall off, the treatment will help us to get back on. Does that make sense? Like if we find ourselves, oh my God, I'm just in the zone. I am in the zone and I'm feeling so beautiful and I am one. You're not even saying it because you just are. But then when you fall off, treatment will be a way to get back on. Does that make sense?
I think Jamie was saying it too, that she's on alignment, but then a few of these little niggly wigglies come in to go, oh, okay. But she's not going to pay attention because she's going right back to the alignment. But it doesn't mean that they don't try to come in the midst of your day. Which brings me to a very special surprise we have tonight for our closing prayer, our closing treatment, to send us off on our way. And she has no idea that it's even happening right here, CSL Kauai on You Can Change Your Life, is Jamie Prem coming to do our closing treatment for us. And she says, I won, it's like the Academy Award. Come on down, Jamie. She doesn't know. Did you have any idea this was going to happen, Jamie?
No, but there was a seed planted where Rita said something about, we might have to ask you to save the treatment. And I was like,
Well, you're so good at it.
Okay, so, and you can come right on up here. take this mic and I will become Jane.
All right. Let us take a deep breath and breathe in all of the great energy in the room and release. And what I know is that there is one God, one energy, one original creator that has created everything, is everywhere, and expresses through our very breath that is life itself. It is everywhere. It is everything. And my life is one with God now. My life is an individual manifestation of this creator. And as I know this for myself, I know this for everyone in this room, everyone in our congregation, everyone on this island and throughout the world. And I know that everything that was said tonight is enriching our lives, and we take all of this information and we trust and utilize the beautiful unlimited wisdom of this universe throughout our day, throughout our lives as we leave here and now. And I know that this great work, the words that have been shared tonight, are enriching our spiritual experiences as we create throughout our lives. And I know that whatever is meant to be known is known, whatever is meant to be said is said, and that we all leave here with perfect guidance and perfect protection as is already done in the mind of God. And I am so very grateful. I'm so very grateful for this teaching. I'm so grateful for this time that we have to immerse ourselves in this wonderful spirit, in this beautiful words. And I'm so grateful for the support of our congregation, of this class and our classmates. And I know that we have all that we need, and we are perfect beings. And with this gratitude, I release my word as law, as together we affirm this prayer with, and so it is.
Look at you, girl.
Good night. Thank you, everybody. Yay. I will send you